Good evening, everyone, and thank you for viewing my presentation on conflict management in negotiations. The conflict I'm going to discuss happened at work, happened between two members of my clinical team who are both medical assistants. Personality and behavior. Sue and Sally were both medical assistants with varying degrees of experience. Sue, who is close to retirement, she's greater than 65 years old, but who plans to work as long as she is able. Sally is in her late 20s, recently began her career in the medical field. Sally constantly complained to coworkers about Sue's work ethic, stating that she was too slow to perform her job, avoided aspects of her position that she found challenging, typically where technology was related, and only provided care to her special patients. Sue had been working in this field for decades, worked with the same patient population for approximately the last 15 years, and she had developed strong relationships with those patients over the years. What Sally viewed as her special patients were the patients that Sue made a point to be available for when they were in the office. Sue did not see issues at all with her work performance, and in the end accused Sally of harassment and bullying. Sue and Sally made the rest of the clinical team uncomfortable by their behaviors with one another. They attempted to often bring other parties into their argument to argue their sides for them. It often made the environment in the clinical area very hard to be in. Communication strategies. How did Sue and Sally communicate? This was the problem. They simply did not communicate with one another. They would constantly complain about each other. Sally would not address her concerns with leadership. Although leadership was aware of the conflict and attempted to force communication between Sue and Sally, this did not resolve the issues. Sally completed anonymous reports to risk management about Sue's struggles at work. Although Sue's patient care did not cause any concerns or risk towards patients, Sally thought it necessary that upper-level management knew about Sue's deficits. And Sue stated that she felt harassed and bullied by Sally's constant complaints. At this point, human resources was introduced into the conflict as they take the threats of harassment and bullying very seriously. Conflict management. How effective were Sue and Sally at managing conflict? Sally would attack. People use attack responses when they are more interested in winning a conflict than preserving a relationship. Sally wanted to win. At all costs, she would make an effort to make sure people understood her feelings and that she would attempt to sway them to her side of the argument. Where, on the contrast, Sue would escape. One way to escape conflict is denial, pretending it doesn't exist. Another way to escape conflict is flight or running away. For the longest time, Sue did not see why there was even a need for a conflict. She often tried to ignore or deny the fact that Sally had these complaints against her. That was until she felt bullied and harassed. The negotiation process. Was their negotiation process effective? Sue and Sally were not effective in the negotiation process at all. They refused to listen to each other's sides of the argument, and they were not active participants in the resolution. Outside parties, in this case, human resources, were involved in negotiating a resolution. In the end, Sally was removed from her normal patient care duties. She now performs clinical phone triage full-time. She's likely to do this until she decides to retire. While we have Sue, who was transferred to another location as her attitude toward Sally would not change. Her attitude made the work environment toxic for those around her. Sue could simply not let go of her distaste for Sally and the way that she worked. Leadership. Did Sue and Sally display any leadership? The simple answer to this question is no. Outside assistance was required from human resources to finally resolve the conflict. An alternative dispute resolution, ADR, is when an impasse occurs, a neutral third party may be able to facilitate agreement and resolution. In this case, Human Resources was our ADR. They were not able to facilitate an agreement or resolution. They did facilitate a fix for the issue. They ultimately changed what Sue and Sally's job duties were and separated them from each other to solve the conflict. Ethics and a Christ-centered worldview. What ethical considerations did the individuals encounter? Sue and Sally were not respectful to one another. If another incident like this were to occur in the practice that I work in, or in a practice that they work in, they should remember the 4 promises of forgiveness. I promise I will not dwell on this incident. I promise I won't bring up this incident and use it against you. I promise I won't talk to others about this incident, and I promise I won't allow this incident to stand between us or hinder our personal relationship. I do believe at another time or another place, Sue and Sally could have been friends. They could have learned a lot from one another. Just in the work environment they were in, that wasn't possible. I do think that both of them need to find a way to not let disagreements stand between what could become a mutual, respectful relationship. Sue and Sally could never let the conflict go. If they had followed a Christian worldview, they would have forgiven each other and honored God. Here are the references for my presentation. I look forward to your comments and suggestions. Have a good night.